For the second InsightStorm, I would like to invite Ms. Poonam Kasturi, CEO, founder, principal designer at PBK Waste Solutions. Poonam is trained as an industrial designer from NIT, has worked in as a design educator, and is now fondly known as Compost Wali. Poonam wanted to to find a creative solution to the problem of waste management. Her venture, Daily Dump, launched in 2006, provides composting pots that can be used to convert organic waste into compost within the four walls of one's home. She believes that designing is not about fashion, but is about finding a creative solution to the problem. The Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, a sister organization,
not for the user.
Hi everyone, good to be here as well. My insights are more like learnings that I've seen with people around me. Don't pretend to be a design expert myself, but here I go. The first one, feature parity across form factors is a suboptimal aspiration for product design.
My second insight is actually a question. What is the role of beauty, wonder, and ethics in design?
My second insight comes from personal experience with Treebo hotels. A good narrative of the design's context is as important as good design itself.
And my third insight is designing to change mindsets means being committed to changing one's own mindset.
And my final insight, it's important to use a non-linear filter when converting business problems into design solutions.
All right, stories behind the insights.
So my first insight, all right. Is it there? No,
Yes.
sorry. I've actually got these insights, sorry. Impromptu, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, the first insight was that design for life, not for the user. Everybody in this room loves Apple, Steve Jobs, yes? Yes, I use an iPhone. So Steve Jobs' design written about lots. Has anybody heard about Patagonia at all? Yeah? Right. So both wonderful design, but there is a difference. And I think, like Apala was talking about 2020, 30, if we've got so much design, good design happening, especially in the current context of India, should we focus also as much on designing for life? And I'll give you an example. When I'm saying don't design for the user, very quickly, when I started my project 10 years ago, the government, the user, nobody, even now, wants the product that we make, truly speaking. They don't want it. If you come and if you go and tell them, is this something that you'll give good money for, buy? They'll say, it's a very nice idea, but actually I don't need it. I won't use it. So this is one area that I think that we've missed out on. That's why when we say on one side we have an ecological crisis, we have a social crisis, we have an urban crisis. It comes from this objectifying almost of us as people into users, into customers only. And we're not only customers. So I feel that if anybody has an opportunity to design for life, I would recommend you use that, then only the user.
Can you continue and talk about all, because there's very little time.
Okay. And the second insight is about is there a role for beauty and ethics in design? I'll give you an example that I've done. I've structured the company that I have created with the business being something like when I make decisions on business and say, do I invest so much now? How much cash flow should I have? What kind of investment should I make on people, scale, salaries? All of them are decided. All those business decisions are taken around one question only. And that question is, will I have enough time and space to wander around down rabbit holes, to experiment, to ask questions that I would not have if I just looked at business as usual. So I think that it's important, if you really want to use design powerfully, that you allow yourself that space to ask that question. You may not get the answers. The answers may come and go and be emergent, but that's okay. And the third insight is when you're designing to change mindsets, it means being committed to change your own mindset. I mean, that is, I think, the exciting part of life, isn't it? It's like Ranjan showed in his slide, it's an emergent thing. Life is emergent. And you change all the time, your work changes.
All right.
I missed the tabla though, but I'll keep going. So let me talk about the three insights I shared in form of 3 stories. So when I say that feature parity across form factors is a suboptimal aspiration to have for product design, let me share a short story from my time at Myntra. I was heading strategic initiatives for Myntra, working closely with Mukesh Bansal and the team. And I was around when Myntra was taking that seminal decision to go mobile only and literally shut down the desktop. Obviously, this decision drew a lot of criticism, but here was the thinking behind it. The thinking was the following. While there were multiple channels around, and this is only one part of the thinking, there was a lot else going on as well. While there are multiple channels around, primarily desktop, and you are building the mobile to catch up with desktop, you will end up making suboptimal choices, or you will keep suboptimal aspirations for what the mobile can do, right? So when you think of feature parity, our aspiration for mobile would be something as small as, hey, the desktop has the option for a user to return a piece of clothing they had bought. The mobile does not have that option, so let's build that option into the mobile app, and that was the big thing on mobile. But when you start thinking of mobile first, and I know it's a cliched phrase, but really when you start thinking of every form factor independently, irrespective of what else exists already, you come up with amazing possibilities. So the reason we were so excited about using mobile as our primary channel was, picture this, right? So let's say if you're talking about a fashion e-commerce company, picture a possibility that your mobile app is so powerful that every day when you wake up in the morning, based on the weather conditions outside and your calendar, because both of these are available informations in your mobile, and based on the knowledge of your own wardrobe, the app is able to recommend to you what clothes you should wear to work today, right? Or if you could see a person wearing a nice shirt, you could take a picture and say, hey, I want that as well. And the picture itself would lead you to that product page and you could complete your purchase. So the possibilities are infinite when you start thinking of each form factor with respect to its own virtues and possibilities, rather than trying to bring it in parity with a pre-existing form factor. We've seen a lot of that at our own company, Treebo Hotels as well. Happy to talk about that offline. I know we're running out of time, so I'll limit it to one story per insight. Let me go to the next one. A good narrative of the design's context can be as important as good design itself. This one is a personal experience example, like I said, from building Treebo Hotels. We are a budget hotel chain. We are currently the 3rd largest hotel chain in the country after Taj and ITC. Little known fact about us. When we launched and when we came up with our name and our brand identity, which we have recently changed, but when we came up with our first brand identity and the name Treebo itself, I can tell you that the name in itself was not that appealing. Treebo as a name, to be honest, as a founder, I can say this with some humility and some shame, was not that appealing a name. However, what we were amazed by was the fact that when we put out the story behind the name for people to consume, it's on our website, and we used to tell that story whenever we spoke to the media, when we spoke to our potential recruits, our potential partners. That story just drew so much admiration for the name and the design. It was amazing. The story is that Treebo comes from, the flip of the word Bo tree. And Bo tree was the tree under which Gautam Buddha meditated. And we told people, and it's indeed true, that we drew a lot of inspiration from the tree itself, how it used to be the earliest form of budget hotels. Travelers used to rest under its canopy. Interesting conversations used to happen. And most importantly, there was no discrimination between the rich and the poor. And that was the inspiration behind starting a budget hotel chain. And that's why the name Treebo. Every single new person interaction I used to do in the first 6 to 9 months of our journey would tell me, yaar, aapki wo story badi achhi lagi, suni thi humne, right? And it was amazing. And suddenly they started liking the logo, they started liking the name. So that's why I say that the good narrative of the context itself is sometimes very important. The last one, and personally the most powerful one for me, because I've been at the wrong end of not following this and learned it the hard way, which is it is important to use a non-linear filter in converting business problems into design solutions. I'll take the liberty to give two quick examples. The first one, probably a very relatable one, is that of IRCTC. Everyone has used IRCTC, website to book train tickets. I don't know if you would remember, the first version of IRCTC was actually the exact process of booking a train ticket that you would do at the ticketing window, converted step by step into an online version. So you still would fill out a form, you would still fill out a form. You would still wait for availability, you would still wait for availability. They would still, provide information that was absolutely irrelevant. For example, are you a doctor or not? I don't know how that mattered, but they would ask. And what was happening there was that the problem of booking not being possible online was being handled linearly. I'll give one very quick example, the last one, right? A very small one, but very interesting one. You would have seen on some websites, for example, if you're booking, if you're purchasing something online, or if you're, let's say, booking your air ticket online, etc., you would see that there is this submit button in various places, right? So let's say you select your dates and you press submit, and then the search process starts. Until the time some smart guy came up with the question, why do you need the submit button? Right? The guy's done. I mean, the guy selected the city he wants to go to. He selected his travel dates. And now he's expecting you to show him the search results for the flights. And then, therefore, you would have seen on some websites now there is no submit button. Right? For example, if in a hotel booking site, you select the check-in date, it automatically opens the checkout date window. And that's what I mean by, non-linearly. At Treebo, for example, we built this app that was used by our people on the ground to audit the quality of our properties. We knew we needed to audit 200 items in that list. You know what we did with our first version of that app? We actually built an audit checklist of 200 items. And it was a disaster. It was a disaster because the guy was taking forever to audit even one room. Only to realize later, based on the feedback from these people, that what you need to check for is 200 items, indeed. But what you don't need to do is say 200 times, yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no. And then the new version of the app we built was completely different. Again, I know we're running out of time, so won't go into too much details. But yeah, those have been my learnings, not insight, but learnings by seeing great design and product people around me. So yeah, I'll pause here.
Long one. Fresh insight.
Yeah, so Sidharth, thank you. I think that the last thing that you said triggered off this idea that seems to come naturally to designers about this non-linear thing. And I'm just wondering, I have a question. For me, coming from my side, I feel like everybody thinks like this naturally. So maybe I think it's something that engineers are not taught. So therefore, it's something that is a learnable skill. So I think the good news is that design is a learnable skill.
Great. Poonam, on the point you made around going down rabbit holes in discovery, in looking for beauty and discovery in design, I would actually take the liberty and coming from more of a business mindset, given I run business, I would actually share probably the counter view to that. Which is that I have actually had experiences where design in business is not thought of as business, it is thought of as art by the designers working on that piece of design, right? And I'm probably in a hall full of designers, so I might have a personal security risk for saying this, but I'll say it anyway, that indeed sometimes I've seen that designers, of course, we all know that they are artists, right? But sometimes they push that a little bit too much. And when I was, for example, creating the first version, the very first logo for Treebo, and I was working with a freelance designer, I told her that, look, we are going to go live with the website on a certain date. And a day before that, when I asked her, okay, so can we see the logo now? And she didn't have enough inspiration by then, so the logo was not ready yet. And I was like, I know I myself want the most beautiful logo that could ever be created, but equally the website needs to go live tomorrow. So yeah, I think that's exactly the healthy balance that probably we need to maintain.
So this I'm not going to let go. I need one small minute. Sorry. So I want to just share an anecdote, right? And I want to put design in a little slightly firmer context. I sit in my waist shop. Okay, it's the first waist shop in the country. I sit in my waste shop some days, and I have customers coming and saying, sometimes they come to me and say, I see, but what were you doing before this? And I said, I studied design. They said, oh, really, you studied design? Then why are you doing this? Why did you leave design? I said, this is design. So I run a company called Daily Dump, which we make composters, and we encourage you to keep your organic waste inside your house, and I think that is beautiful. So, and I'm a business, and I make profit.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for joining the InsightStorm. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so we are ending the InsightStorms here. The next session is upon us, and there's a lot of pressure on us to end it. So thank you so much for being a great audience to the InsightStorm. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.